Parshas Vayikra. The previous shir, we were discussing the topic of tzaddik v'raloi. Sometimes tzaddikim suffer because Hashem wants to help them have kaporas avonis. They have old baggage, and Hashem wants to just cleanse and clean it so they could come to Olam Haba and be ready to go straight into Gan Eden. So, even though right now the tzaddik is a tzaddik, but the Hashem still wants to take care of old baggage. And the Chavis Alvov has added to that sometimes the tzaddik doesn't have Averis, and still Hashem would bring Yisurim to the tzaddik, because Laharbois Schoroi, just to be able to give the tzaddik more schar b'olam haba. So, one of the ideas to understand that we learned the previous shir, Pashas Pekude. Let's try today to learn another angle to this concept. What is the gain of a person by having kaporas avonis? Any person, not only a tzaddik, again in this world, tachlis, right here in this world, and also the second part of it, a person that, let's say, doesn't have avedis, but what happens, why does Yisurim bring that the person should have Toiv and Toiv Hanigla when they have Yisurim? So let's go away, wander a little bit away from this topic and learn something a bit deep, but we're going to come back B'siyata D'Shmaya to explain this. When people want to change things that are going on in this world, they want to be matzliach, they want to be successful in opening up a business, or they have a business and they want to make a big change in how things are working in the business. They want to, how do they say it? They want to expand, or they want to just they want to make it work better. Reorganize. Any of the above. And I said it in a business, the same as in a person's house. A person wants to rearrange. A person wants a change. Then we have in countries that they want to have a big change, right? They want this politics and this they all vote because one candidate gets up and he says, we want to change, we want to do things different. In a person's life, a lot of things, they get up in the morning and they say, let me change this situation. They want to change the situation. Now, it seems to us, being in this world, seeing the things the way we see it, that with power, and especially if a person is consistent, a person could change things. But it isn't true. And we have to get used to this concept. It's not possible to change anything in this world. The only koyach, the only power that could actually make a real change is when Ruchnius, Hashem comes to a situation that overpowers the current situation, that could change it. As long as there's no Ruchnius that touches it, then what's going to happen is, it's like a person has a table in the room, and they say, okay, we're going to make a change. So they take the table, they push it to the right. So it could be that right now they feel that there's no table, the table's still in the room. You didn't really make a big change, you just moved it this way. And then when you need to go to the right side of the room and you get stuck, so you take the table and you push it right back. So you're just playing around, you're not really changing the room and everything that comes with it. People have issues, people have problems. So people sometimes go on vacation to take care of their problems. That's exactly what they did. That means the problem is still there, they're still in this world, they're still connected to their problem. What they gained is that they just went away for a little bit so they don't remember. But then when they come back, they're going to be right once again, stuck in the problem. Now, Hashem created a world that it is possible to really change things. Not only that it looks, it's really changed. When Ruchnius confronts Gashmius, a koyach from heaven comes and takes over the situation, that could really change it all around. It's a koyach that's stronger than the Gashmius. It could go into the DNA and really change it. the truth of the matter is that it's even deeper than that. It's not stam the ruchnius changes gashmius. It's deeper. What it is that everything that's in gashmius, really, there's ruchnius that makes it alive. If not, it wouldn't be possible that it should exist. How does it exist? Because there's a minor ruchnius. There's ruchnius there, just hidden, with a lot of levush. But there's ruchnius. Like they say the Balatanya, or maybe they say in a different tzaddik. I remember saying the Balatanya, he sat with Chassidim, and he was trying to explain to them that this cup that's right here was a glass. He says if Hashem decides that it shouldn't exist, Hashem doesn't have to burn it and doesn't have to destroy it. It's just not here. So a table, chairs, anything in Gashmias, walls, buildings, they all exist because there is a Ruchnis de Gekoyach that's making them exist, but it's hidden, the Ruchnis de Gekoyach. When we say hidden, it's not only hidden from our eye, it's transformed to a lower level to the extent that it could actually be a Megushim that materialized. It could be like that. Now, Hashem created a soy, the secret and the bria, that if Ruchnias on a higher level comes and meets and connects to Ruchnias that's hidden, which we call Gashmias, it fertilizes it. It has the koyach, it has the ability to make it grow, exactly like watering a plant. Water is also Gashmias, but it's more refined. Now, if you water the plant, then what happens? Whatever is there from beforehand, but it didn't have life to it. It didn't have the koyach to actually grow, to actually bring fruit. By watering it, what you're doing is, you're just bringing out the koyches, and then it could actually bear fruit. It could really make a change. Now, by a person being very, very frustrated on the plant, and screaming at the plant, it won't help. A person is going to shove the plant to the right, to the left, even if the person is going to try to do zgulas. But the plant is the plant. You have to water the plant. You have to bring a ruchnis the gekoyach to bring out the koyches that's there, and then it's fertilized. It's part of a rava. It starts koyches and koyches that were there that you never believed start coming out. That is the system of our world, and that's how everything works. From trees to plants to people, older, younger, all kinds of situations that a person wants to change. Isn't there any other mahalach that really works how to change things? Now, most people that have frustration in a matzav that they're going through in a situation is because they forgot this concept. They just forgot it. So they're trying to push things by making phone calls. They're trying to push things by raising their voice. They're trying to push things by physically pushing and shoving. It doesn't help. It can't do anything. Now, it's a very starke yesoid in tefillah, that's really that's why tefillah works. Because what tefillah does is, that a person has, let's say, seichel. A person has this chokhmah inside, but he doesn't know right now what to do. He doesn't have the tools to figure out what should he do with his seichel. When he davens, and really, really concentrates that if I don't have seichel, I have to beg Hashem every single day for seichel for today. And it has to come from a place that's beyond our understanding. From there, I'm asking Hashem. I have no way how to reach it besides asking Hashem to deliver it. That is watering our seichel. That puts it into our mind. The rest, that's it. Then a person just goes, and what Hashem puts into their mind, that's what they know. That's ruchni is the geseichel that they have. That's coming from it. But if a person says, "Let me think, I can figure this out. Give me 2 minutes, I'll figure it out." Then they're pushing around with their seichel. They're not really fertilizing it. They're not bringing something new to the table. That's what's important to understand. When we say by davening that the malachim say Kodesh, 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 Hashem tzivokos, Hashem, Maloi chol oretz kavoidoi. So a deeper understanding in that sentence is Kodesh means holy. That's the literal translation. But kedusha, the Rishonim explained that kedusha means something that's beyond our understanding. It's porush. It's further than us. And we in Shemona Esrei, we have a special bracha Ata Kodesh that we should remind ourselves, Hashem is distant in a sense that we can't understand. In the Seichel, Hashem is all over the place, but we can understand. Now we have Emunah, Ani Mam Emunah Shlema, that any kind of abundance that a person needs and asks for and wants, the source is from a place that's beyond our understanding. That's a chizik. It's a very, very big chizik. Because when a person has no idea how they're going to be saved, or a person has no idea what they can do to help their matzav, they remind themselves, wait a minute, there isn't anything that the source comes from a place that I could understand. When a person is asking for $100 from Hashem, simple, he says, I'm fine, I have $100, I'm good. They still, it would be a massive mistake if they feel that it's within reach. Because when the person understands that it's within reach, then the person is not really believing that they have to connect to something that's stronger and powerful more than them. So they're not connecting to Ruchnius. If they don't connect to Ruchnius, that unbelievable click that Ruchnius has to fertilize Gashmius, that doesn't happen. It's just not going to happen. Now, big tzaddikim, when they said Torah Friday night by the table, they wouldn't prepare. No way they would prepare. Because if they prepared, that means I'm trying to say something. If I'm trying to say something, then, okay, oder ja, oder nicht. It could be interesting for some people, it could be true, it could be not true, I don't know. Nice idea. But the big tzaddikim, what they did was that they felt and they went into a mode that they're nothing. And Hashem should please put in the right words. Hashem just put in the right words in my mouth. We say Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur by davening. The words the Me'ashem Man Eloshin. How does it start? It's a memory, not a posik. That's the second part. I don't remember the first part. Hashem has to put it in. that a person has the lips, but Hashem puts it in. Hashem has to put it in. It's a tefillah that a person has to Hashem, and then it just starts. And the tzaddikim, some of the tzaddikim didn't remember what they said. They said the Moranayim, when he looked it over, they wanted he should look over. He said, everything that I remember, I don't want it to say in the Sefer. He took out anything that he remembers. Whatever I don't remember, that's Torah's emes. That's I have no grip. It's Torah that Hashem put into my mouth. They say a fascinating story of the Triska Magid, Rabbi Avram, the Triska Magid, the son of the Chernobyl Magid, that he had a son, he said Torah. And he said Torah for about 2-3 hours straight. And he had a son sitting nearby him by the tish. And then there was a different Godel, a tzaddik, that was sitting on the Mizrach. And then the Triska Magid bent over to his son and spoke to him a few minutes. It was a back and forth, and then he continued on. And the other tzaddik wanted to know from the child, what did the Rebbe want to know? What did he say? He says, I have a hard time to tell you because I don't believe you're going to believe me. I don't. He said, no, I'll believe you. He said, you sure? Okay. He asked me if he said Torah already. He had spoken for 2-3 hours. He asked if he's before the Torah or he's after the Torah. It's fascinating. Those were the tzaddikim. I mean, they took it to the extent that they were just not there. They were totally not part of the whole thing. But us as regular people, any act that a person wants to do, if they decide, okay, I know exactly what I want to say now, or a person says, I'm going to do this, I've dealt with this in the past, give it to me, let me deal with it. All of the above, we're talking about the way of thinking that way. What it does is it disconnects the koyach of the person from the source of koyach. So then a person doesn't have siyata d'shmaya, but even more than that, they don't really change things. They're just playing around, and we're back at square one constantly. We're at the same place. Sometimes you could have people that it looks like they built empires, but they didn't do anything. If you take, for instance, a person could decide to build a building, so that what? So, because he wants to earn money, and a huge building, and he spent 20 years, and let's say he started earning money. But then 5 years later he lost all the money. So, he doesn't look at it that way. He says, look what I did. Look what a business I built. I have 500 employees. You know what I have? The payroll for 1 month. It feels like it's going on. But if you look at the end of the picture, so many times you see that around and around and around and around, and the Meister, there was nothing. So many businesses closed down because of their bankruptcy. And what happened? How did they get to a situation of bankruptcy? But they were paying people, and they were lending money, and they were having mortgages, and they were buying, and then in the end they saw they're not earning anything. Nothing's really happening with everything. The expenses are more than the income. That's a person's life. If a person doesn't understand it, stop and try to put something from above. A person has within himself chokhmah and life and simcha. Everything is within the person. What a person is looking for is coming from higher than him. He should connect to higher than him to be the right makabel, to be able to accept the ruchnisdige watering that Hashem could put into him, which happens when a person is fully nichna to Hashem, which means in the practical matter, he davens. It means he loves and enjoys reminding himself, just for the fact of reminding himself, that all of the things that he needs in today's day, he has zero koyach how to do it. No way. And he just enjoys being in that matzef of remembering. I came here that you should be maskim to put a drop of das into my mind, which will make that the neshama that has das should start understanding things, and that a person does it about every aspect in their life. Going through Shemona Esrei, they understand that every aspect in their life, that's the only way they could help themselves. The rest of the day, they're only doing their shlichus. The rest of the day, they're like, okay, I got it already. It's in me. Let's see in which oifen, where Hashem wants me to do whatever He told me to do. Now, let's continue after Atachon Lodom Das to understand that the same with tshuva. And here it's where a lot of people make the mistake, and so many people would gain by knowing the truth, and definitely not get so frustrated. The same exact brocha that we say on Seichel, we say about tshuva. That means we understand that tshuva is biyad shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This includes tshuva that a person has to do themselves, and tshuva that a person would expect if they want their child to do tshuva, they want their neighbor to do tshuva, they want their relative to do tshuva. It could only come from there. There's no way. Even if a person would take the child and talk to them with love, beautiful story, and bring them by a Shabbos table, and say such beautiful story and sing beautiful zemiras. What I say is if I disconnect myself from Hashem, it's also Gashmis. So if I put it next to that person, maybe the person got inspired, but I can't really make the change, because there's only one rock solid klal. What could change? You want to change something inside of that person, you have to get some water in there. By being the most fascinating, you could give this lecture and whatever. So it doesn't change things. That's why you can have people that are saying drashos for, it doesn't change. Only Hashem can make it. Now, a person that wants to influence other people could decide that they want to just put themselves on the side. They want to daven for that person. But the most important is they said, I can't do anything. I could be a shliach, just to be connecting the two, to bring the message from Hashem to him without getting involved. It's not me. I'm just bringing over the message. That's what a person could understand. And that's when this a koyach that it should actually make a change. Any Maggid Shir in a yeshiva with Bochrim, the more the Maggid Shir wants, it's the bitter truth, but that's the truth. The more the Maggid Shir wants to show how beautiful he could explain something, the more the Maggid Shir wants to show them how he could, anything that he could do, but he's a machadish and anything, the more, it could be the boys will be very inspired. It could be, but it won't make a change. They'll continue on, they'll be the same boys. They might even love him, the Maggid Shir, because he knows how to, but he won't change them. Even if it's a Maggid Shir that's not so successful in any aspects, let's say he wasn't gifted with all the criterias, but he has a certain bittul to Hashem, and he's bringing Hashem's message to them. It's going to make a change, because that's how the world runs. That's how it goes. When he davens for them, and he says, "It's not comfortable for me to tell you boys, but it's my shlichus, so I have to tell you that it's not appropriate to do this." And he has no excitement doing it, but he has such a yirah shamayim, and he also loves them because he doesn't get personally hurt if they're not listening to the shir, because it has nothing to do with him. Usually when there's friction, it's because it's me. So why are you laughing at me? Why are you not? I'm not being successful, so you're making me not be successful. You just embarrassed me in front of all the other boys. It becomes personal. So it can make a change. The yeshiva could be running. That's clear. You could even be called, quote unquote, a successful Rebbe. But it's light years away. And that's why, if people would understand that, I'm just elaborating on the topic because you can never know who would listen to this, and it could even help one person. That's why you could have Kita Aleph Rebbes, Kita Beis Rebbes, that changed the nefesh of a child forever, and the ones that are quote unquote more successful and they got a higher grade, they were like with the big boys, with the teenagers and whatever, but they didn't make the change. Then maybe they're even smarter. Those Rebbes are smarter, and maybe they're getting paid double. But they came to offer themselves. So it didn't have that one secret that's the only thing that can make a change in a nefesh and in anything in this world. It didn't have that. Now, we elaborate on the topic because we're talking about tshuva. We say in davening, Hashavenu Avinu Terosecha, only you could do it. Help me. I'm trying. But I know I can't. I want to change a habit. I failed many times. So I'm davening, I'm crying. And even if it's going to take a lot of time, I'm still crying to you because I know that one day you're going to put in the right thought into my mind, which is going to help me go against my habits. The more a person understands that, the more they're closer to their Yeshua. And the more they understand it in relative to their children, that only Hashem could put in tshuva into this child. I can't do anything. I could fight the institution. I could call Rebbes. I could pay a lot of money for the light to sit and learn, and for mentors. I could do all the above, but that can't change things. It can't do anything. It's the right thing to do if a person understands that that's my shlichus to do, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. But they understand. When the parent understands it, they're pouring in abundance from ruchnius into the situation. We call in Hebrew, they call it choser oinim. Total loss. It means I have no mahalach, I have no thought process how I can help the situation. I tried everything, and I have nothing left. When a person reaches that stage, they should know they're at the real paroshas drochim, which means that a fork. When they're standing right now, they should go right or left. That's where the Yiddishkeit comes in. Right is that a person should understand, so right now, I could really rely on Hashem, because I know that I have no mahalach. Left is, so I'm frustrated, I'm devastated, and I give up, because I tried everything already. I'm giving up. I really tried everything. It's corrupt, the whole system. And the more I talk to people, I see how corrupt things are, and it's full of corruption. I give up. I just give up. This frustration, this giving up is a 100% mistake. Because all of that is because a person understands that it's supposed to make sense. And I'm supposed to be able to figure it out. And I could make a change. But I see that every time I try to do something, I hit a brick wall. This is crazy. I'm trying to help, and I'm getting pushback the whole time, the other way. It doesn't make any sense. This is a crazy place here. What kind of school is this? All of the above is true. Again, we're not talking about in cases that it's not true. No. If it ever happened to you that you felt that way, so right now what do you do after that? What do you do after that? After that, if a person, you meet him and the guy vents for an hour, telling you that the people are sick, they're just not normal, that means that person is trying to do it himself. And he wants to build it himself and all that. So then he will be frustrated in the end. Because the person is going to meet up with all the ugly things in this world, and he won't be able to. He members won't be able to. But if a person will say, oh, that's what the guy was talking about. I feel it. Right now, Baruch Hashem, we will succeed because Hashem is more powerful than all that. And he would continue doing what he's supposed to be doing. Davening and believing that Hashem is going to help. That's when Yeshua comes. That is when Yeshua comes to situations. And now, I want to give a example, which could be Gewaldige Chizik, in Tshuva and in different aspects. Let's go to the era right after World War II. Starting from 1945, Tafshin Hey, for the 10 and 20 years after that, when we know that Gedolei Yisrael built up the Yiddish world again. The Gedolei Yisrael, it was the Kreuzenberger that started again, the Satmarov and Rabban Kotler, and all the Gedolim that were in that era, they built a Ponevezh Rov, they built Ponevezh, all the Gedolim that were in that generation, and they just kept on going. Now, if we think about it, it had no hope, and it didn't make any sense. And it was after it was devastating thing that happened to them. They all have in their private life. If Kreuzenberger Rebbe lost his wife and 11 children, it's devastating is an understatement. Satmarov lost everything. He came with a child, but then he lost all his children. He lost his whole kehila, everything. I want to know what went on in their heads that they're going to be successful. They didn't know they're going to be successful. The people that they met, refugees that came, each one was tzibrochen, shattered, no families, no money. People didn't want to listen. People didn't want to hear. People weren't in the mood. You were talking, there was no youngsters, the generation wasn't there. It was all people that came and were like, broke and had nothing to, how did it happen? How do they continue on? If anybody feels that in the situation that they are, if it's Ruchni Yizdik or Gashmi Yizdik, if it's that they're such a financially, or if they feel that if they're trying to do something better with their children, with the chinuch, whatever, and they feel that it's against a brick wall, they can't go against the tide, everything's just going a certain direction. After World War II was worse. It was worse. So which koyach did they have? The koyach that they had was that they didn't come with their own koyach. That was the koyach. They knew that they can't. That's the secret. They said, okay, we're going to make a change. I said, what are we going to make a change? He said, not because I could, I know I can't. But if I survived, it means I survived for a reason. It means Hashem wants something from me. So He's going to give me the koyach. He's going to give me the money. He's going to give me whatever it takes. Okay, I'm just going to go. Just tell me where to go, I go. That was their state of mind. Now, it wasn't a mahalach hachaim. It wasn't only for the era after the war. It was just that around and around the current events made it possible for them to have the right state of mind. Any person that would work on themselves to have the right state of mind, regardless of what's going around and around, then what's going to happen is that they're going to have heavenly koyach. They're going to have a special koyach, because that is the only thing that does change, that makes changes. It's possible to have a Ponevezh Rov again. It's possible to have the koyach of building Moses in the right direction today's days, of course. Just, what's the problem? The problem is, people feel, Baruch Hashem, things are running. It's a little problem, I'll take care of it, I'll put it on my to-do list, I'll make myself a reminder, no problem, I'm calling it tomorrow, you should consider it as done. Right? You know that? It's done. What else? People have the offices, you have the fancy, a mahogany table and a screen. They said, I'm good. A few phone lines. They're just taking care of stuff. Why? Because Baruch Hashem will be good. So then they're not putting ruchnius into the situation. They're not putting in, you could do it. They say, I could do it. That's really, it's there. I could do it. It's not too hard for me to do. So what's happening is that we're not really changing the system. Problems are coming, problems are going, and all of a sudden, problems burst out from who knows where, like a volcano. It was hidden the whole time. Nothing happened. And then all of a sudden it bursts out. It's, how could it be nobody did anything? And people make asifa. And by that asifa, they make the same mistake. By the asifa, they once again feel that we could do. No. The issues that are there in Yiddishkeit, crazy issues, that must be taken care of. If people would feel, okay, by this issue, we're like after the war. We have no hope. So what we're going to do is, we're going to take a right. After we understand we have no hope, okay, now we're ready to go. Now we have a shlichus. I don't know how, but we're going to daven. Okay, me and you, all the people that see for the big askonim, with 5 phones. Okay, we're going to daven. Well, now I'm going to daven. We're going to daven with doing tshuva before davening, with who knows what. Then, you're putting in space for something new. You're bringing something new to the table. You're taking the problem and you're putting ruchnius in there, and that really what kills out all bacteria and helps things grow the way they're supposed to. Now we're going to go back to the topic of the Chovos Halvovos, the people that have Averis, Hashem wants to take care of it, and people, even tzaddikim that don't have Averis, Hashem wants to be marbe their schar b'olam haba, to understand it with this new understanding. The biggest blockage that doesn't allow for this click, for this chibur, for this connection to happen, is when there's something blocking. The ruchni shouldn't be able to go into the person. And then a person could be trying to daven, they're saying the words, but that connection doesn't happen. It doesn't turn into a click. It doesn't happen. So what happens? So they're just going around and around in circles. Around and around in circles. What is that blockage? That blockage is Averis and Gaiva. These two things. That's what we say in Chazal, Ein ani v'hu yecholim lo dun. It's not being successful. Now, what would happen if the Gaiva would go away and the Averis would go away? The person would be exposed that secret, that unbelievable ruchnis diga drop would be able to enter, and it should happen. It should click into that person. Then the sky is not the limit. Then everything opens up. But everything opens up. That's called Olam Haba. There's no limits. Because the ruchnis that's hidden in a person's neshama, when that gets ignited through the ruchnis from above, a person has everything. There's no end. They're living in a world of closeness to Hashem, and they have everything that they need. So Hashem is trying constantly, every single person, to help the person reach that. Because that's everything. Dido be kulube, the Gemara says it on Das, which Das also sometimes symbolizes this idea. If you have Das is when it happened. It's Chochmah, it's Bina, but Das is when it clicked and the person is actually, he knows how to do things differently because of Das, then you have everything. So when Hashem puts in a person into a situation that they're at loss because they have physical pain, they have emotional pain, they're going through a terrible, terrible story now in their family, anything, and they're sometimes very sad because there's a lot of things going on. But really, if they would stop and understand what's happening, they would explain it like this. No. I'm not on a tzorah now. Hashem handed me a situation which is making me feel that I am worth nothing, that I'm a failure. I don't know, people are speaking about me. I'm having bushes. I'm so embarrassed because everybody knows what's going on. There's so much baggage. Really what's happening is that the bottom line, the core of the Agmas Nefesh of the person is that the person feels that they're so unsuccessful and so embarrassed. They're humiliated. They're really by whatever's going on. If it's because they lost all their money and they can't pick up the phone, they have to change phone numbers because they owe so many people money. They have no idea how they're going to pay it, and they lost everything. Or it's because of family issue or anything that they're not being successful with a child. The core is that it touched them in such a deep spot in their heart that they're a failure and that they have no way out. And they don't see any future. I see no future. But when a person is there, that's when the real bechira of a person is. That's when, are you going to choose to go right or to go left? That means, are you going to understand that this package, this tsar, has the formula to take you the elevator straight up? Because if that's the case, then you have no other option only to rely on Hashem. You have no other option just to daven and not want to go home from shul because you have nowhere to go home. So you're enjoying every minute, not as an escape, just as in, it's so amazing to think of every part of this davening, that's what I'm doing by davening. I'm coming to davening and I have two parts of my mind. I have one area in my mind, we'll call it, is where my problems are, my issues are, that I'm thinking 24 hours, it's constantly, obsessively thinking about my issues. It's coming again and again. That's here. And when I'm davening, what I'm trying to do is, Hashem gave me opportunity to daven, is to put ruchnisdige thoughts into those thoughts. To take from a deeper place in the mind that I have to work on, and to put it into every thought and every issue that I'm going through. I can't help myself. And that's what I'm doing by davening. But Hashem will. And when I'm saying Baruch, that's what the Kabbalah Svarim explain. When you say Baruch Ata, you're actually putting in the Shefa into that aspect. So you're doing it to the Seichel. Once you did the Seichel, you say Baruch Hashem, done, check. The Seichel got a dose. I don't know when it's going to come out today, but the Seichel got it, because I felt it happening. I knew I can't have Seichel myself. Next, Tshuva. Oh wow, I really need Tshuva. I better do Tshuva. And I also, my child, and also my neighbor, and also my brother-in-law. Okay, so you enter that world of Tshuva, all issues of Tshuva, and then he puts a dose of in Baruch Ato Hashem, the Mekor, the source of Brocha, the source of abundance of Tshuva, is in Hashem. Haroitza b'tshuva. Wow, that's better. Next, and then a person says Slach Lono, and a person understands. Well, if I don't take care of that, then I have none of them. I can't put in abundance to Refuah and to Baruch Aleinu if I don't take care of my sins. If I don't take it, Hashem could help me. So the Balatanya explains that when a person says Slach Lono, the tshuva happens right then and there, and he says the raya to that is he could prove it because you're already thanking Hashem. Baruch Ata Hashem Chanam. Who said? The answer is, what do you mean? Because while you're saying Slach Lono Avinu, that's what you're doing. You're putting in slicha into the Averis. You're white out. You're doing that. And then a person feels that every bracha that they're saying, every single bracha that they're saying, they're actually putting life into Yerushalayim when they're saying Yerushalayim Mircha. They're putting life into the dynasty of David HaMelech by saying, Esemech David Avducha Meheres Hatzmiach. It should grow. Matzmiach Karen Yeshua. Baruch Ata Hashem Matzmiach Karen. It happened right now. I don't see it yet, but it's what is happening. A very, very big simcha. And that is the secret of being Masmach Geula L'Tfilah. Take all excitement, all Geula is a nest. Geula comes from a higher place, and put it into every single issue. And then you did it. All the changes I had to make for today already happened. And the person feels at ease. Now I could go to my office, or I could go home, and whatever happens, I know already it's basically done. I'm just a puppet right now in the situation that's going on. Now this is really the depth of the Chavis Alvovis. The Chavis Alvovis is saying that Hashem would give very tough situations to tzaddikim, tzaddik v'raloi, to enable them to make a better connection, which is going to allow them to have everything. Now, this, when Yisurim come to a person, which the Yisurim bring achnoah, besides that it takes care of old issues, even if a person doesn't have an Aveira, has an Aveira, but there's always another level of being able to rely on Hashem and feel like when a person is sick in bed, and when a person is physically sick in bed, it's a very high level of not being able to do anything. And then when a person is in that situation and doesn't give up, and doesn't, tries for 10 minutes not to complain, and to feel that they're fully in Hashem's hands, then what happens is that they're now, it's lahar b'yischore. What they're laying right now is such an idea. Now, the last part of this shir is that Hashem created a world with a system that it goes sliding down. We call it Yeridas Hadoros. It means the higher generation of Avraham, Yitzchok, Yaakov, you have the Dor HaMidbar, they had Kabbalah HaTorah, they had the Dor of Shlomo HaMelech, David HaMelech. And then the Doros keep on going, that people don't have such understanding in Torah mitzvahs, and people have bigger Yetzaharas, and the world becomes more choshech. And sometimes it feels like that it's just getting worse and worse. The Gedolei Yisrael from the previous generation are not here anymore. So now we're stuck, whatever we have. And who knows what's going to be in the next generation. And even though there's so much Torah being built, but the level of what a Yid is, and Ruach HaKodesh and Tzaddikin, like we saw in the previous generations, that we're able to moifse and everything, it's less and less, and it's more hidden and more hidden. That brings people to the understanding that Ein lo mili shana ela lavinu shebashamayim. And the more the world enters that phase, that what happens is it allows that feeling that a person should feel. Ein lo mili shana. This sentence is the sentence that the Mishnah brings in Masechta Soita about Ikris and the Mashiach. It says that this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, until he's not just going to feel that there's nothing that we could have a grip that this is going to make the matzah better, this is going to make the matzah better, and then Mashiach comes. And the same way that happens to the Klal Yisrael, it happens to every person. Every person, when they feel like that, then Mashiach comes to them. Then they have a geula from their situation. So this is another understanding in these two reasons that the Chavis Alvovis says. Why does Hashem make tzaddik v'ra'aloi? Maybe because they have an Aveira. So the concept is not because they have an Aveira. So listen, you gotta pay for it. One day it's gonna haunt you. One day your Aveira is gonna haunt you. It's there. You can't just make believe it's not there. So that's it. So now Hashem's taking care of the Aveiras. And then, what's if he doesn't have Aveira? Okay, so then Hashem just wants to slap him up because Hashem wants to give him schar. It's connected, the two. If you don't make the mistake in the first reason of the Chavis Alvovis, you won't make the mistake in the second reason. Hashem so badly wants to elevate the Yid and the Yid. So Hashem is going to give the opportunity to the Yid to be able to have the right mindset, to be able to have everything. To be able to have everything in this world and the coming world. If you understand that when a person has Aveira, so then you chap. And even if the tzaddik doesn't have an Aveira, it's the same concept, because there's always another level that a tzaddik could reach. So there's certain situations in a person's life that they're stuck. It's a key to that door that they should be able to go through this, and then they could bring, and that's what tzaddikim, that's another reason why tzaddikim were able to bring abundance to the world, to other people. Shef of Parnasa, around the whole Rimanov. There was, the whole time the Rimanov was alive, he said Torah on Parashas Hamon 22 years. 22 years he said Torah on Parashas Hamon. And there was a shefa, people had money all around, not only in the city, all around. The same Reb Shayla from Kerestir, they say, when in the times that Reb Shayla was alive, the tzaddik brings shefa all along. Why? Because of that bittul that the tzaddik has. That understanding the tzaddik has, and all the way with a Mesiras Nefesh, so that's what really makes a difference to the world. That's what really makes a difference. So the more a person studies this and tries to put this into their mind, the more they're going to feel it, how true it is. And then a person could also gain that they don't have to go through all these Yisurim. Why? Because that was the tachas of the Yisurim. Once a person does the job on their own, they could help themselves. They shouldn't need to be spoon-fed all these concepts. So,